Hey everyone, we're going to do a quick 5-minute video and I'm going to tell a quick story about setting up an LLC. So somebody is doing business as a consultant and one of their friends says, oh, it's so easy, you just go and create your LLC. And so she does, and she gets an email back from the state. In this case, it's the state of Florida. So the Division of Corporations sent an email back and she just assumed that it said everything's good. She never even opens the email and she goes about her life. She does work for this company. They write her a check in the name of her LLC. She deposits it into her personal bank account and doesn't think anything of it. And so then she actually gets another job, so she doesn't even think about that consulting company anymore. And then she's like, I think I probably need to do something because it's been about a year, so let me go online. And so she goes online, and what she thinks she needs to do is the annual report, which every company needs to do every year. And so she goes online. Now, mind you, at no point in this story has she talked to a lawyer. She hasn't really done much research, and basically all she listened to was a friend who said, hey, it's so easy to set up an LLC. And so she goes online and she can't find her company. It doesn't exist. It's not there. And so she's like, wait a minute. So she goes back and finds that email, and sure enough, in the email, it was a letter rejecting her LLC filing because it was the same name as another company already. And so she's really worried, and now she goes and finds a lawyer. She's talking to me, and I ask her, I'm like, well, has anything bad happened yet? She's like, no. I'm like, did you get any letters from the IRS? She's like, no. Did you have any problems with those companies? No. What did you do with the checks that they gave you? And she goes, I just deposited in my personal bank account. I'm like, all right, are you still planning on using this company? And she's like, well, not really. I'm like, all right, well, the good news is it's sometimes better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And as long as you deposited it and you let your accountant know and you report it on your taxes, or, you deal with it if you get a 1099, then, you can handle it. And I don't think there's going to be a big problem. We're not talking about a ton of money. But let's take a big step back. She basically did a bunch of things wrong and she just didn't know. And I'm not blaming her because she would have no reason to know. But the first thing she did wrong is she didn't do a name check, right? And that's as simple as going to the state where you're going to incorporate or organize your company. It's incorporate for corporation or organize for LLC. And she didn't just go and check the names. Now, typically I recommend check the name, the fictitious names, also known as DBAs. Also check the state trademark database. Also check the Google. I always Google the name to see if it pops up. And lastly, I always check the USPTO, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Database, to see if the name pops up. Because what you don't want is not necessarily her story where the company got rejected, which is obviously, open your emails when you get emails. That's kind of the moral of that. But what she should have known is she should have checked to make sure that she's not going to get an angry letter from a lawyer someday threatening her with trademark infringement, right? Because she didn't even know if there was a trademark out there. All right, so that's number one. Number two, you create the company, you open the email, you make sure that you're not gonna have a rejected filing. Number three, and she never got this far, is you go and you get a tax ID number from the IRS. Number four is you then open a bank account in the name of the company. That's where she should have deposited those checks. And number five, get an accountant or a CPA, or at least if you're gonna do it yourself, get QuickBooks, because you need to actually treat it like a business. And that's the point of the story that I wanna get to. If you're gonna create a company, the reason to create a company is to have the benefit of having a business. And what is the main benefit? The main benefit, if things go wrong, you don't get sued personally, the lawsuit goes against your company. That's what the limited liability in LLC comes from. By the way, somebody was like, corporations don't have limited liability. It's the other way around. Corporations invented limited liability and then LLCs just borrowed it and put it in their name. But corporations absolutely have limited liability. But here's the point. You've got to run the company like a business. If you're just like, I created an LLC and I deposited the checks in my personal bank account, well, guess what? If I'm coming after you and I'm the creditor who's mad at you, I'm using that as an easy argument to the judge to let me sue you personally. I'm gonna say, Judge, they can't hide behind this flimsy LLC that they never even set up a bank account, they never even got a tax ID number, they never even set up QuickBooks or did bookkeeping, and they don't know the first thing about running a business. So just because, they went to the state and paid $125, that's not enough. You need to do more. So to wrap it all up, guys, be careful when your friend says, hey, it's so easy, you can just go online and create your own LLC. They're not wrong, but they're missing all the extra steps that you need to know in order to have the benefit of limited liability. All right, guys, leave a message, send me a comment. reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me an email, and I'm happy to chat about this. Thanks.